watching the Foul Play YouTube channel.
Hey Foul Players, what's going on today? It is September 8th, 2022, once again at the Bean Hall. Thought I would do something a little bit different today than just kind of the general updates we've been giving, but give you a more specific review of some of the cool things that are out here, specifically the duck food. So we have 7 different kinds of duck food in this one spot that is about a half an acre. I think that's really good. It's a monoculture. A lot of guys go for that big cornfield or the big rice field or whatever, and I get that. But having this variety in here can really attract a lot of ducks and keep them coming back throughout the whole season. So I'm going to walk around the plot, and every time I come across one specific type of duck food, I'm going to stop and we'll talk about it just for a second or show you what it is. I know some folks out there probably don't know what all of this stuff looks like right out of the just on their own already. So let's just take a look at it in detail, so to help everybody kind of identify what some good duck food is, both wild and cultivated. Okay, here we are with barnyard grass. This is probably the dominant species in here, pretty much by accident. I know I didn't buy any seed for barnyard grass. I questioned maybe if it was in some birdseed I threw out last year. Otherwise, I think it just came up naturally and came up well. Let me bring you in here up close so you can see. So this is what the seed heads of barnyard grass look like. Right now it's between 4 and 6 feet tall, most of it. Some of it's shorter, but roughly head height. And you can see how it makes these nice big seed heads. It is obviously a wild millet. Plant looks like millet. Seeds look a lot like Japanese millet. But this is, by the sheer luck of the draw, thank you Mother Nature, we got a really excellent stand of barnyard grass. Right now we're standing here next to some Japanese millet. Now this is a cultivated plant. I did buy seed. I did plant it out here, and it's come up okay. What I have found is if there's a drought in your area, call me. I'll plant Japanese millet and the drought will end. Because that's pretty much happened every time I've tried to do it. Japanese millet likes water, doesn't like a flood. So it washed away a bunch. I've got a bunch of low stuff that's making seed heads, but right here is some of the stuff that's probably survived the flood. And you can see here the very common Japanese millet, these large seed heads. Here's one that's a little smaller, but I can reach it. Here you can see one that's filling up nicely. They kind of grow up, wrap around themselves. But you can tell that obviously it is related to the barnyard grass, which you can see in the background here. Plants are, without a seed head, I couldn't tell it apart. But very common plant for planting for ducks or for dove or other wildlife. Some people just use it as a cover crop to prevent erosion. Some people eat it. But comes in well, easy to grow. Throw it out on a mud flat and wait. That's all it takes. So we got not as much in here as I would like. Only a few of these really giant ones, but they still got another month or two. Maybe it'll come on. But that's our Japanese millet. All right, here behind me, you can see our yellow nutsedge. Some people call it chufa. It's grows naturally here. Grew here last year. Didn't grow as well last year. Probably because I drew the water down this year. We didn't have that last year. The beavers had it flooded. But another good duck food. And I was listening to the Rogers podcast today. If you guys haven't listened to that, go check it out. And they had a biologist on there, wildlife biologist that manages duck properties. And he said that this, when they did a esophageal survey, I think is what he called it, they checked the craw. And this was one of the top 5 foods that they found in duck's craw. And not the little tuber that it makes the nut, but actually the seeds growing up here. I think I said the barnyard grass was probably the predominant species in here. That's probably wrong. It's probably this yellow nutsedge. So let me zoom you in. Let me take you in closer so that you can take a look at what this looks like up close. It starts looking like these seed heads here when it comes out. Then they expand out to the other thing. I believe that's what I'm seeing go on here. And another great duck food. And if you're paying attention, you can see some other stuff interspersed in there with it. But get you up close here and take a look. But that is the yellow nutsedge, which is a popular duck food. Grows wild. I assume people can buy seed for it. I'm not going to try because it grows wild here so well. Why would I waste my money? But let me take you up sky high here real quick. If you see out there in the center what looks like the yellow, that's all the yellow nutsedge. There's rice in there, some, but you can see that's a big old patch of yellow nutsedge. All right, now if you're looking right down here at my feet, this nice dark green stuff down here is the ever-present, ever-popular Smartweed. I believe it is the Pennsylvania Smartweed because it does mature to the pink flowers, and it's very thick on the farm. In any wet areas, we end up getting some amount of Smartweed. In this particular hole, we don't have a ton. Didn't have much in here last year either. On another area of the farm, it dominates. So it probably had to do when water was drawn down. This water was drawn down later than it was where the Smartweed is doing better. So I'm pretty sure that's the difference. Let me bring in here close. We'll take a look at the Smartweed. So as you can see, it's a nice dark green. This hasn't made a lot of seeds yet, but you can see some here. They're white now. As they grow and mature, they will turn pink. Here are some more. So if in your duck habitat or if you're out scouting somewhere, this is very, very prevalent in wetland areas. If you see large stands of this, you might want to mark that location because you've just found Smartweed. All right, now here we are with our rice. This is the first time I've ever tried to grow rice. I've done jet millet a couple of times, once or twice in the past. You hear about rice. So I wanted to give it a shot. Since I can control water in here, I figured why not? Let's give it a spin. Where it came up, it's doing very well. What I have learned and will have to do better next year if I still want to go with rice is I need to prepare the ground better. If there was anything else on the ground, the rice just didn't come up. So I'll need to do a better job of getting it down to dirt. But it was easy. I flooded the pond, walked through it with a handheld spreader, threw the seed out in the water, about this much, whatever. Let it sit there for 2 days, drained it, boom, we had rice. And it is starting to make heads. The other hole over here started to make heads 2 or 3 weeks ago, but now this is, as I look out across here, in 2 weeks, this is just going to be full of rice. Let me take you in closer so that you can see. All right, here we are up and close and personal with some rice that is starting to make grain. And you can see, if you look closely, it's going to be everywhere. I don't know how well this old GoPro is going to focus on that. There's a big one with some panic grass in there. Out across there, gosh, it looks like every plant is making seeds. So good stand of rice coming in here. I'm super excited about this. It'll be interesting to see what happens. They say some places of the country ducks love rice, other places they won't touch it. So we'll see. North Carolina used to be a big rice producer. So I don't know. Not that these ducks were here when that was popular, but we'll see what happens. But this is our rice. Let me pan to the side. You can see it's looking pretty decent. I'll turn you around in a second so that you can see Arrowhead, also known as duck potato, which is a good food source for ducks. We don't have a ton of it in here. I actually had to step back off the main hole to find this one. Some other ones were growing in there. I think the other stuff may have outcompeted it. But this makes another little tuber that the ducks will get down in there and fend for. People eat it as well in some places. So it's good all around, I suppose. But just one of the other foods sources, I can see several growing back in here in the trees. But it's coming up around the farm and various other places and providing more food. So this is our duck potato. Just call it for short. All right, our last stop at the duck grocery store here is the pin oak. I just found this guy making acorns the other day. We have one over there on the other side of the hall that's a nice big tall tree. It doesn't appear to be making any acorns, but this little stubby thing over here that's almost getting wiped out by another tree. If we get in closer, he is making some acorns. So I'm excited about that. And the stink bug on my hand, not so much. But excited to see acorns in here. We have other pin oaks in here as well. Like I said, there's one right there. But we were walking on here the other day and there's several. There's actually one really huge one. It may be that super tall tree in the background right there. But there are some really big pin oak trees in here. A few other types of oaks around the property, but these are the only ones I'm seeing right here where we hunt. Alright, that's it for our grocery roundup as I get bit by flies today at the bean hole. So I think I said 7. We have 8 different kinds of duck food that I can identify. There's probably other stuff in here that that I don't even know about. Not to mention the fact that once some of this stuff lays down, we're going to get all those little invertebrates. But we've got barnyard grass, Japanese millet, yellow nutsedge, smartweed, panic grass, rice, duck potato, and pin oak. And I only planted 2 of those. I planted the rice and the Japanese millet. And so I would have had tons of food in here if I'd done nothing. But anyway, thanks for coming along with me today. That's our grocery roundup here at the bean hole. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.